This is Pete Gang. Welcome to Part 4. In the last 3 sessions, we looked at the scientific underpinnings of the climate crisis and the emerging political will that is rising to address it. We acknowledge that the climate crisis requires rapid changes of unprecedented scope affecting all areas of our lives. If we'd started 30 years ago, our path to zero emissions would have been gentle and gradual. Starting today, our path is steep and perilous. But wait a second, where are we going? What does this zero-net world look like? Doesn't a journey need a destination, or at least a sense of direction? How do we know if we're making progress when we have no idea where we're going? As an architect, it's hard for me to not think about the look and feel of a net zero world. Architects are supposed to envision things that don't yet exist and then figure out how to bring them to life. So let me sketch out quickly, really quickly, where we're headed, what a zero emissions world might look like. I'm going to paint in big brushstrokes, and I probably won't stay within the lines. Here goes. No, not these visions of the future. These are the visions that have guided our path since the 1950s. We tried it, and it doesn't work so well. Well, actually it works really well for a few, but neglects the needs of many and neglects the needs of the planet. Let's try instead a new interpretation of an old vision, one that characterized many pre-industrial societies and that underlies most indigenous cultures. In our future world, there is much less reliance on animal calories and greater reliance on plant calories. Food production, including animal agriculture, is small-scale, local, and organic. Aquifer health and soil health are top priorities. Carbon sequestration is practiced on a massive scale. No toxins are used. There is no fertilizer runoff, no dead zones in the Gulf of Mexico. There is zero food waste and zero transportation emissions. Food is healthy. Next, forestry and other land uses. Reforestation and restoration have replaced deforestation. The area of forests continues to increase year after year. All working forests are managed as complete ecosystems and managed for sustainable yield. There is no clear-cutting, no tree farms. Degraded lands, including depleted croplands, deserts, and brownfields, are being restored to optimum health and biodiversity. Our towns and cities have the feel of older towns and cities that came into existence when traffic moved at a pedestrian pace. Smart growth principles now guide all development, its central ideas being compact, dense towns and cities with clear edges. Beyond the edges, there is abundant open space for food production, wild nature, and recreation. Streets are pedestrian and bike-friendly. Transportation is primarily a publicly owned benefit. Zoning is mixed, lively and chaotic without being unsafe. All new buildings are built using low embodied energy materials that are made locally or regionally. Buildings require no more energy for their ongoing operation than can be generated renewably on site. All existing buildings have been retrofitted to the same energy standard. Buildings are designed with durability, reuse, and repairability in mind. Changes in other areas, agriculture, towns and cities, industry, consumerism, result in a greatly reduced need for transportation. All motorized transportation is electric. Electric cars, pickups, delivery vehicles, electric rail, electric buses. Aviation and transoceanic freight are not yet solved. Industry, life cycle cradle-to-cradle thinking guides all production. Reuse and recycling are standard practices. Constant efforts at increasing production efficiencies yield ongoing benefits. Fuel switching replaces fossil fuels with clean electricity. Long-distance transportation of materials and goods is minimal. And all the electricity that powers everything is clean and renewable, using wind, water, and solar. There's no more fracking, mountaintop removal, oil spills, natural gas explosions, smog, and wars fought to defend our national energy interests. We have a larger number of smaller local utilities and microgrids, and we have many more ways of storing electricity: batteries, compressed air, water storage, and more. All people understand the need to nurture the biosphere that sustains us. This understanding results in care for the earth and for each other, localization of everything, less selfish behavior, less need for stuff. And all of these efforts yield a cascade of other benefits: meaningful employment not subject to boom and bust cycles, greater sense of community, less time wasted in extreme commutes, increased biodiversity, healthy ecosystems, a return of honeybees, reduced waste and inefficiency, a drawdown of atmospheric carbon. And then there are the follow-on effects that we tend to ignore because they're hard to measure. The human physical and psychological benefits that result from walking and biking, from eating nutritious food and drinking clean water, from breathing clean air, from living and working in the same town or city, from chance encounters with neighbors on the sidewalk, from having access to open space and wild nature, from living a life in consonance with one's values. These are the ingredients for a happy life. And that's where I'll leave it, because that's where it all begins. Our journey to this hoped-for future must be guided by kindness and compassion for the earth and for each other. We must all recognize that we are all deeply connected. Our separateness is an illusion. We are all in this together. And in summary, this thought to guide us on our journey into the unknown: be kind whenever possible. It is always possible.